Hey Internet, Eric here. I've been trying to do this video for quite a few days now. I've just been so damn busy with work and just other things going on, fighting some illnesses, and you can kind of hear it in my voice. But I just said the hell with it. I'm gonna get this my movie thoughts video out because there's a good amount of people, regular viewers here, that actually are interested in my thoughts on this particular film. This is what I'm going to call a blind movie review or movie thoughts, however. And by that I mean I've never seen this movie until prior to this video. I mean, a lot of my videos I own the movies and I had seen them many times before, and of course if I own the film I'm going to pretty much give a passing grade. Why else would I buy the damn thing? But this movie was gifted to me by my buddy Roger, who I've mentioned many, many times over at Channel Donstar. This was one of my unboxing videos. Off the top of my head, I don't know which one it was, but he gifted this to me, and he really wanted me to see it, and he kind of been hounding at me to review it, to watch it, for quite some time now. So tonight, I'm going to finally talk about Freaks. Now, Freaks came out in 1932, directed by Todd Browning, same guy that directed the Bela Lugosi version of Dracula. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I do discuss plot spoilers and specific scenes and characters, but it's a film from 1932. You've had plenty of time to watch this movie and not have it spoiled. And word of warning, if you're not new to my channel, I really don't give a crap, but this is not going to be politically correct. But if it's a movie called Freaks and we're dealing with human oddities, I will probably be saying terms that are not politically correct in 2017. Whatever. Alright. Basic plot of this is we are following a group of circus freaks. Well, the movie starts off and we have the carnival barker, and he's telling this group of people, he's showing this group of people this oddity that's in this big giant box, and of course they're all freaking out, and he goes to tell the story of how this freak came to be, and we meet Cleopatra. She is the trapeze artist, and she is the beautiful catch of Hans. Or Hans is little dwarf, little midget, and he's just enamored with her. He's in love with her, thinks she's so beautiful. And I believe Frida is his fiancée, and she's another dwarf. And of course she's a little jealous of the attention. Well, Hans is in love with Cleopatra. Well, Cleopatra is now banging Hercules, the strongman, because Hercules just kicked Venus to the curb. I don't know. Venus is completely normal, and I don't know what her shtick was in the circus or carnival, whatever you would call it. And so now Cleopatra and Hercules are a thing. And Cleopatra knows that Hans has a thing for her, and she uses that to her advantage. And long story short, she finds out Hans has a lot of money due to an inheritance, and she's using it to her advantage. She eventually thinks of a murder plot. She's going to murder Hans with the help of Hercules, take all of his money, blah, blah, blah. The rest of the circus freaks find out. They want to stop her, save Hans, and get revenge. That's it in a nutshell. Oh, I mentioned in my unboxing video how I personally am pretty uncomfortable when it comes to deformities. I've seen some in my personal life. I went to a Rob Zombie concert once, and there was a lobster boy doing the ticket taking or doing the security, that made me feel uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not talking about dwarves. Dwarves are nothing. But when I see people with physical deformities, like other than that, it just makes me uncomfortable. So I had avoided this film for a long time. I knew it was one of my mom's favorites. She's the one I've mentioned many times that got me into horror. I avoided it for a long, long time. But I've always been interested in the traveling circus lifestyle, gypsies, anything like that. So Roger put me on the spot. He bought this for me. So I'm going to watch it. If the man spent his money on me, I'm going to watch this film. And, wow. First off, I wasn't as uncomfortable as I thought I would be. But, man, I couldn't believe how good this film was. And I'll get to that. And I also couldn't believe how sad this film was. I'll get to that as well. First off, we'll talk about the characters. Todd Browning, is it Browning? Yes, Todd Browning hired real circus performers, real people with deformities, real dwarves, real half people, this and that. And Hans is actually played, I did not know this until I watched the documentary. Hans is actually played by one of the little people, dwarves, that was one of the Lollipop Guild from Wizard of Oz. He was the one, when the three of them come and they give the lollipop to Dorothy, he's the one in the blue that kind of snarls like this when he sings. He's hit and miss. I don't know if he was a trained actor or not. Some scenes, he does okay. Sometimes it's hard to hear because, he's so high-pitched and squeaky. It's hard to hear what he's saying, so subtitles do help. But I will say this. When he's being treated badly by Cleopatra, you can feel his pain, and that's what I mean by I didn't realize how sad this film was. Eventually, there is a scene where eventually Cleopatra and him become engaged, and they get married, and there is a classic scene. It's this scene here, the one of us scene. One of us, which I'll get to, but Cleopatra is drunk, and she's kind of letting Hans have it, making fun of his height, and she's drunk as hell, and she says she's so happy she'll even kiss Hercules, and she kisses Hercules in front of Hans, and you just look at him and you see his heart breaking, and you believe it. He's done so. He's very good with his physical acting and his facial features, very good at you see him being tormented by them, his heart shattering when he sees the girl that he loves kissing another man and then talking shit about him, and you feel for the guy. But Hans he's also very likable. But you also feel for him, not just that one scene, but when you see that she's just fucking using him, and you want to reach into that. I wanted to do this. I wanted to reach into my screen and grab him by his little head and be like, wake the fuck up, dude. She's using you for your money, but you're too fucking smitten and stupid to realize it. And that was good with the way this actor portrayed. Frida, the other dwarf, who was eventually his fiancée, but then was pushed to the side, is decent. Nothing special. Again, other until you get to that one of us, the dinner scene. And she sees how happy Hans is with Cleopatra, and you see her heart breaking, like right in front of you. You feel her pain. You see like the tears streaming down her face. And you're like, Jesus Christ, this woman looks like she's going to die of a broken heart. And it's a great performance in that scene. A couple other, Cleopatra, whoever plays Cleopatra, I don't know the actors' names. I'm not even going to look it up. She's good being this dirty, disgusting person. And when you first meet her, you know that she's just an awful, awful person. She knows Hans is in love with her, and she likes playing fucking tricks on him. And Like when we first see her, she walks through the curtain and she drops her coat, and she looks at Hans like he's gonna pick it up, but she doesn't slouch down. She stands up, and he can't reach to put it on, or she fakes like a muscle, a pulled muscle, so he'll come and just massage it, and then she looks at all the other circus workers, carnival workers, and they're laughing under their breath at her, and she's laughing back at them. And this movie does a great job of making the normal people the disgusting ones, the bad ones, and the likable ones are the circus freaks. And this is done really well. Cleopatra is a piece of garbage here, and you just feel that. Same with Hercules. He's just a stereotypical asshole. Every time we meet him, he's making fun of the half man, half woman character, and even punches them in the eye. And always laughing at Hans under his breath, and he's just this typical strongman dickhead, and you can't wait for him to get his comeuppance. The rest of the freaks, the group of freaks, are either just hired for their abnormalities. There's like Schlitzie and the other pinheads. They're just there to be an oddity. And pinheads always made me uncomfortable, but there was something about those pinheads that were sweet and lovable, especially Schlitzie. And there's the two other human characters, normal characters. There's Venus, the one who was with Hercules, and she treats all the freaks like they're equal. She's friends with them, and same with there's a clown character, and he treats them just like they're co-workers and best friends. Like, I love when he looks at Schlitzie, and he she's just there because she's just trying to be cute. He says, I'm gonna go to the town and buy you a hat with the biggest feather in the world, and Schlitzie is just enamored with him. I think she got a crush on him. He plays that. It's so very sweet to see a character caring about these freaks. And I love the scene where he shows his humanity. He's so excited about the bearded lady's having her baby, and he runs and he goes to see how she's doing. So you have the horrible asshole characters like Cleopatra and Hercules and like a couple others, but then you have Venus and the clown. I think it's Fuzio or something like that. The clown, who show that not all normals are assholes. I also like, there is this character here. He's one of the dwarves. He's really good. He's really good with, again, his facial features. When he looks through the window and he's watching what Cleopatra is doing, keeping Hans sick, and you see the pain in his face, the worry in his face. Great acting. What I liked about this movie here is Todd Browning, he made these freaks, these abnormalities, likable. And what he did is, in a lot of these scenes, he showed off their talents. I guess there's one person there's this one lady who has no arms, so she has to use her feet to do everything. So we see her eating with her foot, using a fork. We see her using her foot to grab a glass of beer and drink it. There is this one freak that is, I guess, called the human caterpillar, or torso, the human torso. He has no arms and no legs. He really doesn't do that much other than like just kind of waddle on his belly. But you see him light a cigarette. He takes a match in his mouth, strikes it, sets it down, lights it with lights a cigarette with it, and like it's nothing. He knows what he's doing. So Todd Browning did a good job. There's another one who's called like the half man, and he's no legs, and he's walking on his hands. There's a scene where he's talking to the clown and Venus, and you just see him crawling around like it's nothing, hopping up the stairs. And Todd does a good job showing off these talents that these these people have had to deal with to get by in their everyday life. The score is decent for most of it. Like, in the very beginning, for a long time, it's just circus music. And that's it's generic circus music. But then there's some sympathetic music. And then in the very end, the rain scene, which I'll get to, really intense. I like it. Until that stops. And I'll get to that as well. The problem with this film is it's like 61 minutes, I think. It doesn't say. Oh, freaks, 62 minutes. And it was originally like 90 minutes. But then again, it's notoriety, Some people were saying it was so horrible that it caused one lady to have a miscarriage, and it was just, test screenings. So Todd Browning had to cut the shit out of this. He cut out almost a half hour of footage. The problem is with the editing, it's very choppy in some parts. So it's very noticeable. But it doesn't really take away from the film. I really like this. I'm going to talk about this scene here. The one of us, gooble gobble, one of us. What I mean by that is, they just got married, Cleopatra and Hans just got married. And this dwarf here, you see here, he's got a bottle full of, he's got a big giant glass full of champagne. And they're all chanting, one of us, gooble gobble, one of us. Meaning Cleopatra is now one of the group. And it's a wonderful scene, but it's a heartbreaking scene as well. Everybody's celebrating, and this little dwarf here, he's got the thing of champagne, and he's handing it to everybody, and they're taking a sip from it. But you see Cleopatra in the back, and you see her rage just slowly building up. And then the straw that breaks the camel's back is when Hercules says, "Oh, you're now one of them. You're a freak too," basically. And then she explodes when the dwarf hands the champagne to her. And she just yells at the top of her lungs, like, "You filthy, disgusting freaks, I am not one of you." And you see her, off screen, you're just focusing on this dwarf, and you see the champagne just hit him full effect in the face. It's such a heartbreaking scene. Wow. They've accepted her as one of them, and she just fucking literally spits in their faces. And then this scene ends with another heartbreaking moment, and I'll just call it like the pony ride or whatever, which is what they do to Hans. And wow, this film is really good, showing how disgusting these people are. And then the final scene I want to talk about is the rain scene, is what I mentioned. And my buddy Roger, who I talked to about this film, he said it still gives him chills. And I understood why. The freaks now know what Cleopatra is doing, trying to keep Hans sick, so eventually he'll die and she can get his fortune. They find out she's slowly poisoning him. Well, they're going to the next town, so you got all these different carriages, horse-drawn carriages going to the next town. And in Hans's carriage, it's Hans and Cleopatra and the half-man and a couple dwarves. And it's a chilling scene because you know what's going on. The tension is built. And Cleopatra's going to get his medicine. And you have this dwarf here. He's playing like a flute. That's the only music you hear other than the rain and the thunder. So it's really creepy sounding. It's building that tension. As she comes out, she's caught with the little vial of poison. And you have one dwarf not saying a word, pulling out a switchblade and, breathing on it, polishing it. You see the half-man pull out his gun, polishes the gun. And the other dwarf is still playing the flute, and the tension's building and building and building. And you're wondering what the hell's going to happen. Hans confronts her and wants the poison. Fantastic scene. And then while this is happening, Venus is warned. Venus is now a girlfriend or wannabe girlfriend of the clown. And the clown finds out that through word of mouth that Hercules is going to kill Venus. So while this is happening with Hans and Cleopatra, the clown has to stop Hercules from killing Venus. And that's a great scene, you know, when Hercules is on the back of Venus's trailer or whatever, and he literally busts down the door, but then the clown comes in and saves. He's not dressed like a clown at this time, I'm just calling him that because I can't think of his real name. It's a good fight scene, him trying to save Venus. There's a good, you know, accident with, you know, the horses, you know, causing the trailer to flip. I mean, granted, you know, and it's also 1932, so you can also tell that a lot of the video was sped up. Very intense scene. So you have, you know, the Cleopatra stuff happening, and then you got the Hercules stuff happening, and it all comes together. And it is a very creepy scene. There's no music. It's nothing but thunder and rain noise. And you see the freaks. And, you know, eventually everybody gets out of their cabins or whatever. And they're stalking Hercules. Because Hercules he's trying to strangle, I believe, the clown. And then one of the dwarves throws the switchblade. And it gets Hercules in the gut, I think. And they're slowly crawling. They're all on their hands and knees. Not just, you know, the half man, of course. But the dwarves are crawling on their hands and knees. Even the little caterpillar, human torso, whatever he's called, is, you know, wobbling with a switchblade in his mouth. You just hear the rain, and there's some close-ups on like their you know, maniacal faces coming towards the camera, and that's why I'm glad this version. I don't know if it ever has been colorized, but it's in black and white. I'm glad it stayed black and white because that gives us that extra menacing look. When you see them, and then they catch him, and then it cuts away. You never find out what happens to him. And then the rest of the freaks are chasing Cleopatra, and you hear her scream. And then it fades back to the carnival barker, and he shows what happened to Cleopatra, which I won't spoil. Very chilling, intense scene with, you know, the rain and everything. I loved it. I watched this movie twice before I would review this because I enjoyed this film so much. Other than the, you know, it's hard to understand Hans a little bit, and same with Frida. It does help to have subtitles. And a little bit of the action is, you know, purposely sped up. My only really problem is the very, very end is kind of schmaltzy, kind of, that's too cute, that's too loving. I didn't really like that. But it doesn't take away anything from this film. I won't spoil, because like I said, this film was cut severely. There was 3 different endings. It's in the documentary. I won't spoil it. You're going to search out the documentary. I'm only disappointed that you have to, there's no footage of it because the original footage apparently is destroyed, or they just say unavailable on Wikipedia. After reading what happened to Hercules, I wish that was in the film. I wish it just wasn't kept a mystery. Because after reading what I found out that they did to him, that would have been a cool comeuppance, because you find out what happened to Cleopatra. I would have liked to see what happened to Hans on screen. But it's 1932. People were offended by everything back then. But again, in the end, freaks. Highly, highly, highly recommended. Likeable characters. The circus freaks are the likeable ones. They do a great job of showing how disgusting and evil the normals are. in certain scenes. Again, but they do a good job of showing how not all humans are bad. Like with the Venus and the clown character, that ending in the rain, you know, is very intense and chilling. I understand what Roger was talking about, especially that scene, and like I said, in Hans's trailer with just the flute noise. Highly, highly recommend Freaks. If you haven't seen it, see it now. If you're a fan of horror, and it's not really a horror film per se, I don't think. I think it's maybe a suspense drama, but I'm not real good with categories. If you're a fan of film in general, see Freaks. I couldn't recommend it any more than I've been saying it right now. I'm so glad Roger finally got on my butt enough to get me to watch this. And like I said, I watched it twice before this review. I mean, it's only an hour long, a little over an hour long, so it made it pretty easy. But man, thank you, Roger, for adding this to my collection. Highly, highly recommend Todd Brownie's Freaks. That's it. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, click the bell. Don't care. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell the circus down the street to watch my stuff. Check the old playlist for the stuff that I've done. You can just click on playlists and see what they are. I have a few things, coming up soon. Me and Roger are supposed to do a couple collaborative videos, if our schedules allow it. We got more cartoon commentaries on the way. I got a review of Halloween 2 coming up soon. My wife is making me watch the movie Annie with her for us to review together. But in the end, thank you for watching, subscribing, yada yada yada. Check out Freaks, seriously. And I will end by saying cheers, and offend one freak, you offend them all.